What's going on, folks? Good evening. Pro Fan Talk Live is in business. We are here. We're going late. What's going on, folks? Uh-oh. Good evening. Let me see. Pro Fan Talk Live. Got to get rid of that echo. I had my other computer on, so the sound kept coming through. Get rid of that. So just saying what's up. Going to go over a couple things. Hopefully a couple of my friends from the West Coast, the left coast, will join me. Had a couple people from the 49ers camp wanted to join me, and that's all good. You know what I say, 49ers basically whooped up on us. They put a smackdown on the Philadelphia Eagles in the link. So when you win, you can talk your talk. You want to talk smack, you can talk smack. As long as you just, don't get toxic on me or nothing like that. But at the end of the day, it wasn't as much smack talking as people think, but there was a little bit of it going on. So it is what it is. But the Eagles got spanked. They got to deal with it. And we got to rebound from it going into Dallas week. That's the bottom line. That's the most important thing right now. I guess mentally. Ramsey, what's going on, my dude? Appreciate you joining in, man. 49ers fan. It's all good. But yeah, man, we trying to recover from this behind whooping we took. And we got to rebound quickly. And we got another game. Dallas, just like the 49ers, are coming off extra rest because Dallas played on Thursday night last week, I believe. So it was they get those extra 3 days of rest, and we don't. And we are feeling the fatigue, but that's no excuse. When you are supposed to play, you're supposed to play. Rob Povia, what's going on, my guy? Just going doing a little live streaming tonight. Ramsey, you are absolutely right, bro. We will see in January. Hopefully, we will have our act together by then, but we will see. We just got Shaq Leonard. Jury's out on him. I know he is an excellent player when he's healthy and when he's up to speed. And that's a big if. That's a big but. Because, Rob, we're going to get to that in a minute. The thing with Shaq Leonard is he was having back issues. He had back surgery, man. To me, back surgery is worse than like hamstring surgery. Because when you dude, if your back is messed up, ain't no telling what's going to happen. So your back basically is your wiring system for your whole body. So if your back is acting up, that's when your hands tingling and your legs tingling, you lose feeling in your extremities, all of that kind of stuff. So you got to be careful with that. And it is reasonable to understand why he's not back at full speed or not playing like he was before he got injured. So we will see. It's best to lose in the regular season than in January. That is true. That is definitely true. And I started looking at the situation about beating a team 3 times in a row. The difficulty in doing that, or just seeing a team again. At the end of the day, the San Francisco 49ers have a better team. They were healthier, and they were playing at a better level than we were. And the thing that gets me a little bit is there's no way to sugarcoat it. We were out-coached. We lost a chess match. And I keep saying that because to me, that's the most important thing. You can take an average player and pit them against the all-pro player. But if you got the right pass pattern, you got the right route, or you're running the right defense with an average defense against a high-powered offense, as long as you're running the right plays, you can make average players great. Because at the end of the day, as long as they're where they're supposed to be, they still have the opportunity to make plays. That's what it comes down to. You want your players to be in a position to be able to make plays, period. And right now, for whatever reason, we're not doing that. We still try to play long ball with A.J. Brown, but if you look at the beginning of the game, A.J. Brown has the same skill set as Debo, in my opinion. When A.J. Brown caught that slant, what does he do? He breaks a tackle and turns a 10-yard gain into 30. And he did that twice, breaking tackles, his yak yards. But we don't use him like that. We don't use him like that, man. So and I don't understand it. So here's how I see it. And obviously, I'm making this very simple for the sake of argument. I know it's a lot more complex, but the basis of what I'm saying holds true regardless as if you playing or coaching little league, high school, college, or pros. It all comes back to the same thing. What you do is you get your best player and you put 3 to 5 plays for them. And those 3 to 5 plays have 2 to 3 counters off of one play. So basically, you have one play. That one play has a fake with a pitch. That one play has a fake with a pass. And that one play has maybe a fake pass, and then you run. So you make one play, and then you have 3 options off of that play. That's what you would do. And what you do is you reverse engineer it, and you say, who was my best player? I used to do this when I coached GT Stallions. Who was my best player? Who's my fastest player? So in camp, when you're running things, you figure out he's my best player. What play does he have the most success on? Is it a pitch? Is it up the middle? Is it an ISO, off tackle? Is it jet sweep? Whatever it is, you do that play, and then you come up with 3 plays, 3 play actions off of that one play. And then when you get that, so that's 4 plays, 3 to 4 plays with one player. And then you do the same thing with your second best player, and then your best receiver. And then like you just go down the way. And what you should have is anywhere between 6 to 12 plays from your best players that work a high percentage amount of the time. From what I've seen with A.J. Brown, that those slants work a high percentage percent of the time. Sometimes he gets 5. Sometimes they sniff it out, and he might get tackled as soon as he catches the ball for only a 3-yard gain. But if you look at those plays with A.J. Brown, in most cases, he's breaking at least one tackle, getting the first down, moving the chains, or what have you, whatever the situation dictates. That's the easiest thing to do. And this is a copycat league, right? So all you do is you look at the most successful plays that 49ers are running, then you kind of reverse engineer it for who we have. I'm a running back. I played running back with the Eagles and in college. And so I look at specific things. I love the way they use CMC, running off tackle, pitching off tackle, and pitching outside. The way San Francisco runs their pitch game, I call it a skinny pitch, because every time Purdy will reverse out, pitch the ball to CMC, and he hits it off tackle. But when the linebackers see pitch, they take off because they're trying to prevent him from getting outside. So that becomes a play action in itself. But you don't know what he's doing. Is he going off tackle? Is he going outside? And because your defense has to think about what's happening, once you have to think, once you pause that half a second is enough for the offensive lineman to get their hands on you. It sets up the blocks. It's a domino effect of things that happen that help the play. Shanahan is great at that. It was no secret that just from watching tape, right? The 49ers run that 21 set. You got 2 receivers on both sides, 1 back in the middle. CMC is usually deep. And they usually have Debo and is it Jukic, whatever that fullback's name is. But it'll be Debo, the fullback, or Kittles on the inside. And then the wide receivers, the X and the Z on the outside. So you got 2 legit wide receivers. Debo's on the inside. Body at the tight end spot, he is being guarded by a linebacker unless they're in the defense is running a dime. Unless the defense has one linebacker and everybody else is, you got 6 DBs back there. So a DB has to come up. It's still playing you just switching personnel, but he's still playing the role of a linebacker. However, if they're not in a dime package or not in a nickel, and you got 2 linebackers and you got an inside receiver that's damn near on the line of scrimmage, he's getting covered by a linebacker, and a linebacker cannot cover Deebo Samuels, period. Here's the thing, and this is how Shanahan was just in his bag. I believe Deebo had 4 catches for 160-something yards or whatever it was. 4. So each catch he almost took to the house. Now, our tackling woes, that's a whole nother thing. Juice check. Is it juice check? Juice check? Juice check? So, I don't know. Juice check. Yo, listen, it doesn't matter who's running slants. Slants are hard to guard. The only way to guard a slant is if you jump to the inside and make that receiver change his route a little bit, break up the route. He'll either have to go in front of you or behind you, but it messes up with his pattern, messes up the timing, and that's the best way to do it, right? The problem with that is if you try to jump in the route on a slant, well, any smart quarterback will adjust, and then you do the slant and go. Or you pump fake it and hit him with the double move. So you have to be careful with that, but the 49ers were playing that one play where he got that like 30-something yard play. The cornerbacks were playing off of him like 7 yards. So they were giving him a big cushion. So it was there all day. So when you have those situations, you take them. You take advantage of them. So we just have to take what we can get. And it seems like, back to the X's and O's of it, we were just getting out coached, man. And to me, it wasn't that complicated. You put Deebo on a linebacker, we win. You switch it up, and then maybe maybe your X receiver is lined up outside, but he's lined up tight. Maybe he's only 3 to 4 yards outside the tight end. So what happens? What happens when the tight end goes in motion, or the tight end shifts to the other side of the field? And then everybody shifts over. Now, are you in man? Are you still in zone? So now it depends on what's going on. So if you are in zone, he's still playing off of that receiver. He's up for a slant, cut right across the middle, because that linebacker still has to figure out who's in the backfield. Because a lot of times what happens was the end man on the left would shift to the right. The CMC would be in the backfield, but he would go in motion. So now guess who's got to cover that motion guy? Whoever's left on that left side. So again, that leaves that middle open. It's all, like I said, a domino effect to get the defense to get out of their formation and shift to where they want them. And you open up space. Sounds complicated, but it's really not. Everybody's got a role on defense. Once you know what their role is, you can maneuver the formations and everything to get them out your way and do what you want to do. And the 49ers did that with ease. So, it's one of those things, man. So props to the 49ers, man. That's a royal ass whooping. So, and it's up to us to bounce back and figure out what we're going to do next. Because now that puts major influence on this game in Dallas. It's major pressure to perform in Dallas. So in a game like this, when you take one on the chin like that, you can either recoil or you can recoup. And we have to recuperate and figure out what we're going to do next. Because I'm telling you right now, if Dallas is smart, and I'm sure McCarthy is smart enough, and he's going to watch the tape and tell everybody down in Dallas how San Francisco whooped up on us. San Francisco whooped up on them too, but they're going to use that as fuel. And if Dallas was smart, what they would do is do the same thing that Dallas did. I mean, same thing that San Francisco did. And somehow, because you want to keep CD on the outside. That's his bread and butter. CeeDee Lamb is going to get his, right? But if you remove Ferguson and Schooner, uh, flip flop them with Brandon Cooks and Kevontae Turpin, you put Kevontae Turpin on the inside and he's getting guarded by a linebacker. Again, that's bad for business. But that's smart gameplay. Remember, this is a copycat league. So when it's a copycat league, what you do is you look what everybody else is doing, and then you retrofit it to fit your offense. You look at a play and you make it work for your formations and your running backs and what you want to do on your offense. But you do the same thing. Prime example of you look what Andy Reid did to us in the Super Bowl. He went back and watched those plays, those motion plays where they came in motion and went back the other way. And we got caught passing off coverage and didn't do it right. And that created space. And he ran that 2 times, one on each side. And both times we were wide open. Both times it was wide open, easy touchdown. And that cost us basically the game. So, but he saw that play from the Jaguars in like week 4. So he just waited, bided his time, and he did something that we wasn't expecting. But he copied somebody else's play. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But for whatever reason, we want to make it difficult. They continue to try to run on the inside, and I would argue, again, I'm biased as a running back, but I would argue if you're going to do that, at least, please, at least try to get DeAndre Swift to the outside. Run a jet sweep, do a quick pitch. I could go through the film sessions that I watched, and I could pick out 10 to 20 plays just of running backs and offenses pitching the ball to the running back outside. And they set it up. Sometimes they barely get back the line of scrimmage, but most times they get a little bit more. And when you have somebody with the speed of DeAndre Swift and the things that you know he can do, you want to put him on the outside. You don't want to run him tackle to tackle all the damn time. And then we got backs that run. Boston Scott is not being used at all. And every time that kid gets in the game, he makes stuff happen. So we get so caught up in our sets and what we want to do. And it's like we shun common sense sometimes, and it's frustrating because the stuff that we always run doesn't work. And we always run it. We haven't adjusted it. We haven't changed it. They just keep running. It's like, all right, you ain't got to change it, but you got to adjust it a little bit, tweak it, do something. Run it from a different set. Just do something. But we get so pass happy. Again, we did the same thing last year. Same thing happened last year with Miles Sanders. We were complaining that Miles Sanders wasn't getting the ball enough. A lot of people from the Philly area didn't really like Miles Sanders. I did. Because, again, I didn't think we used him right. And then coming back this year, I thought Pollard was going to be our starter. I thought he had earned it. But even when Pollard's in it, they don't use him right. And now that DeAndre Swift is clearly the number 1 back, and they still don't use him right. It's almost like we run the ball, and then we meet our quota for runs, and then we stop. And then we got to wait until we're up ahead in the second half, and then we'll start running again to run out the clock. And it's like, that's not the way you balance an offense. We're supposed to balance it the whole time. You don't balance it at the back end. So I don't get it. And I'm still trying to figure out, and it's something that we'll never figure out unless somebody retires and says something about it or complains about it. But at the end of the day, I don't know who's calling the plays, who's running the plays. Brian Johnson is running the plays, but when they're formulating their game plan during the week, who's putting the input in that? Because something has to change, because some of the stuff that they do just doesn't work. And it seems like we calling plays at the wrong time. And it just, like, we've been saying this all year, that the Eagles offense is just not in sync. Either you have a good offensive game, a good defensive game, but we've never had both in the same game. We've never had 4 quarters of solid football throughout the game. We've had halves. Offense has a half, defense has a half, and you know, and we can't never wrap it together. And that's great when you can be resilient and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes you just need to blow people away. Or just like we did last Sunday, you're going to get caught up. And you're going to find yourself in a hole that you can't get out of. What made us deadly last year was the offense with the D to go with it. D isn't scary at all this year. Well, you're right. The defense, we lost a lot of players on defense. We lost TJ Edwards, who's balling in Chicago, CJ Gardner-Johnson, who was balling in Detroit till he got hurt, Marcus Epps, who's balling in with the Raiders, and Javon Hargrave, who's balling with you guys in San Francisco. So while not a lot of players, every one of those players were starters, key starters, especially Javon Hargrave. Javon Hargrave balled for us last year. So we lost some primetime players. And not to mention, you come back and Avonte Maddox gets hurt. And then he's out for good. And then we would kind of play musical chairs with our secondary. And again, I always use this phrase, it was masking tape and bubble gum for our secondary for a minute because it was every week somebody was hurt. James Bradbury was playing in the slot. He's not a slot corner. And it showed. But he did what he had to do, and we barely made it through. But we made it through. Because when you go back and look at it, you don't really say, like, they almost lost. You either lost or you won. You know what I'm saying? So there's no excuses. It is what it is. And we dealt with it, and we kind of got over the hump with it. But this was a situation where they just, like I've been saying all day, we did not get exposed. We got exploited. We did not get exposed. We got exploited. When you expose someone, that means you're showcasing information that nobody ever seen before, that nobody had. That's when you expose something. Didn't nobody know this was going on? So you exposed it. You brought it to the light. Everybody knew our defense was suspect. Everybody knew we had trouble and we had injuries at linebacker. Moreau and Cunningham came out of nowhere and were playing well. Then Nakobe Dean gets hurt. Then Avonte Maddox gets hurt. Then Reed Blankenship got hurt for a bit. Then they brought in Roby, and then Roby got hurt as soon as he got here. So it was all kind of stuff. So that wasn't anything new. Everybody knew that we were suspect. You saw what Buffalo did. You saw what Dallas did. You saw what Washington did to us in both games. And everybody claimed that Washington sucked. And Sam Howell was putting it on us. And that's another game. Washington probably should have won that first game. So, it was one of them things, man. Let me see. Are you talking about Dom? Security Dom shouldn't even been there in the middle of that. I agree with the unnecessary reference call, but I don't think Greenlaw should have been ejected. Well, let me say it like this. I knew they were going to eject him because this was the third time in 2 weeks that you had an altercation with a player throwing punches. Third time. You had that situation last week with Shaq Lawson with one of the fans one of the Eagles fans in the stands, and he threw the punch. That's a no-no. The same thing, and then Greenlaw, and granted, now Dom wasn't doing nothing but trying to separate him, and he was like, hey, that was bullshit, because it was a bullshit tackle. So I understand. And then you got to remember the context of this is they had already had words and stuff in the pregame when San Francisco came to our sideline doing all that nonsense. That's when it really started. But when he slammed Devontae Smith late, everybody jumps on it, and he's trying to separate him. And then when Greenlaw threw the punch, that was it. Because here's what you got to remember. you might not agree with him being ejected, but that anytime a player is ejected from the game, disqualified, that comes from New York. So there is a group of officials and NFL execs and John Runyon and all of them guys that sit in the office and watch all of the games. And if there's something that happens, like, hey, this person might need to be ejected, they got to watch the play and watch different angles and all that kind of stuff. And they call the refs at the game and say, hey, get him out of there. So the refs on the field don't make that call. New York makes that call, which means New York saw enough. And then you look at the game on Sunday with the Chiefs and Green Bay. Pacheco got ejected for the same thing. He getting into it. I think it was a punt coverage or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but they push him back and forth with each other. They jaw jacking with each other, and then Pacheco throws a punch. He threw like a hook and tried to catch the dude right in front of the ref. Ref threw him right out of the game. New York verifies it. Pacheco disqualified. He got to go. So anytime a player doesn't matter if it's warranted. I saw the game. Who was that? Was it the Jets game? I don't remember which game it was, but another situation. That's another one. So that will make 4. So that will make 4 in 2 weeks because this guy was jaw jacking and he hit the ref by accident. He was pointing at the other player and the ref kind of moved his head like in the path of his finger. So he's pointing at another guy and the ref just happens to move in the way and the guy catches the ref on the lip and the ref starts bleeding. So they threw that dude out of the game and it was a complete accident. It was a complete accident. Dom has always been there. And if you look at the 49ers, you go and look at any team in the league, doesn't matter. The 49ers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, you look, everybody's got people on the sidelines, coaches on the sidelines. A strength and conditioning coach don't need to be on the sideline, but there's one on every team that's always there. So it's not even about should he been there or should he not been there. No, if you want to do that, every team in the league has people on the sidelines that probably just friends of friends or something like that. I know there's a couple of coaches that have one guy. The only thing he is there to do is to make sure everybody's staying behind the line. He's not a coach. He's probably a friend of a coach that got a hookup, and that's what his job is. So we got Big Dom. Every other team's got somebody else. So as far as him being in the middle of it, that was just, he just happened to be standing there when it happened. Because if you know, you don't know, you're not going to know anything about Dom, but Dom is always right beside Sirianni. Just like whatever team it is that I'm trying to think of, there's a guy that just stands and holds the headsets. There's one guy that makes sure that the coach stays behind the line so he doesn't get a penalty. So every time he steps behind, the guy grabs him, pulls him back, and that's all he does the whole game. So my point is that there's always people there on the sideline. Dom just happened to be the tackle, and the play just happened to happen at that particular point. Because if it would have happened 5 yards one way or the other, Dom wouldn't have been there. But literally, it happened at his feet. So it was just a matter of circumstance. That's just where the play happened. So I'm not going to fault him for that. Because if you're going to say he shouldn't be on the sideline, then you got to go through everybody else in the league, and you got to look at all of them people that are on the sideline that probably shouldn't be there. The only other people besides coaches that are on the sidelines are doctors. And just in case they got to take somebody in the blue tent. Trainers are a part of the team. The girls and the guys that, run the water out and all of that kind of stuff, they don't really have anything to do with the team, but they're there. So that kind of stuff happens all the time. If you watch the Jaguars game, there was a situation where the kid thought there was a timeout because everybody was huddling up, and literally it looked like a timeout. And he runs out there and he takes some people water, but nobody called timeout. So the Jaguars were charged with a timeout, and the kid made a mistake. That was on Doug Peterson, because you got to communicate with what's going on. You can't just assume that everybody knows what's happening. Comes with the territory of being a coach. So he's got a right to be on the sideline. He's where he needs to be. It was just unfortunate that play happened right in front of him, and there was like a little kind of mini fight, little brawl that broke out. It was at his feet. What was he gonna do? What was he gonna do? He wasn't trying to punch him. He was just trying to separate him. But if you want to say that he shouldn't have touched the player, this, that, and the other, that's fair. That's fair. But I mean, human nature is going to take over at some point in time. That's at the end of the day. That's what's going to happen. Big topic. Purdy is a top tier in the league. They want to doubt him or act like he's not it yet, but time and time again he proves he is. But let me say this. Here's my opinion on Purdy. Purdy is probably leading for MVP. I would not vote for him for MVP only because if he doesn't have his weapons, he suffers. If Debo's not playing, if CMC's not playing, in my opinion, my MVP votes, Tyreek Hill is number one. CMC would be number two. Then I would have Tua, Lamar, Dak, and then Purdy. Because if CMC is hurt, if Debo is hurt, he's not the same. That would be my criticism. But I understand why he's leading the votes, because he's playing that good and he's efficient. Some people want to try to criticize him, saying he is a system quarterback, and I don't buy that. A system is as good as the players in that system. Your quarterback has to be a part of that system. So if you got a sucky quarterback, y'all gonna struggle. But he's picked it up and he's throwing the ball and he's making it happen. He's just in a good situation where your skill positions are at such a high level. The only thing he has to do is get the ball to his playmakers and let them make plays. That's easy. What's up, man? What up, coach? Late to the stream. What's up, bro? What are your thoughts on Swift getting blown up in that last play across the middle? And is it me or are other defenses more aggressive than ours? Yeah, we've been talking about that. Hey, thanks, Ramsey, man. I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to go late because I know there's a lot of people that like to talk football on the West Coast. And yes, I'm an Eagles fan. I did play for the Eagles, so I bleed green, but I also follow the Bengals because I'm from Cincinnati. So I got friends that used to play for the Bengals. I got friends that used to play for the Cowboys. I got friends that used to play for the Niners, for Miami. The people I played with, Jason Dunn used to play for Kansas City. One of my guys, David Wilkins, used to play for the 49ers. So I got love for all of the teams, man. I bleed green, but I try to keep it 100, man. So if y'all good, y'all good. I'll try to keep it for real. So I appreciate you sticking with me, man. And hey, next time bring somebody with you. You know what I'm saying? But as for Swift, that's just the way the game goes. Nothing you can do about that. He came across the middle. The safety came down and was waiting for him and just put a lick on him. I've been through that. Not fun. Feels like there is a literal hole in your chest and the breeze is blowing through. That's what it feels like. And it is it sucks. Because it's not what they say is not the hit, it's the sudden change of direction. So that's he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I hope he didn't crack his ribs or nothing like that. Because I know there was a story about Kenny Gainwell getting some more time as a third down back and stuff like that. I don't think that should be the thing. a third down, depending on what you're trying to do, you want your best back in the game, and DeAndre Swift is our best back. So, you know, I don't think. I just think he took a hard hit. Great hit too. Our other defense is more aggressive. No, I don't necessarily think it's aggressive. I think it's a situation where the tone of the game and the flow of the game can kind of change your attitude and or how you see it. I just think we suck at tackling right now. Brian, that's it in a nutshell, bro. We suck at tackling. I know. I don't know if you, Brian. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but me and Seth, I got on. Seth responded to something that I tweeted, and then a bunch of other people started commenting on that, and it was me, Seth, and a bunch of other people going back and forth based on what he said about our DBs not being willing to tackle. And basically, it was like, if you want to tackle, that is an attitude. If you want to bring somebody down, that's an attitude. Just like that dude started that brawl on the sideline when he tackled Devontae Smith. They made it up in their mind that they were going to be more physical than us. So every time they made a tackle, they was making sure people were on the ground. Some of it was borderline late, but they didn't care. They were setting the tone. And that's exactly what they did. They set the tone for what they wanted to do. And they were more aggressive. On our side of it, we just couldn't make a freaking tackle. We were missing tackles left and right, bro. It was bad. And I look at that and I go all the way back at camp, because don't get me started on that. New-a-days versus two-a-days. They don't hit in camp, and a lot of players are garbage at tackling. It's not just us, it's around the league, but because we're one of the better teams in the league, we get the focus. Our tackling is god-awful. Sucks. And that showed. They had 150-something yards on Nick Moreau alone. So we got to do better than that. And that is an attitude. You gotta want to tackle, and you got to want to be physical, because there is a difference between tackling somebody, laying a hit on somebody, and making business decisions. So we're good at trying to push people out of bounds. And you look at the Jennings touchdown at the end of the game, and who was that? Eli Ricks that came over there trying to make a tackle, and he just pimp slapped him out of bounds like a pimp named Slickback. Get out of here. And he scored. You got to, when you come up, look at the dude. I forget who it was, but who was the kid that hit Patrick Mahomes as Patrick Mahomes was going out of bounds? He was right at the first down line. They gave the kid a penalty, but it was the wrong call. That kid wanted to make a tackle. He wanted to make a play because he came up fast and he made the hit before Mahomes got out of bounds. It was just a bad call by the refs. But that kid wanted to make a play to send a message like, no, you're not getting nothing free. I don't care who you are. We're not doing that. We're not doing that in the secondary. You have Blankenship and Sidney Brown that come up and make hits. But my criticism of Sidney Brown and Blankenship, they make big hits, but a lot of times they don't wrap up. And then if you look at Sidney Brown, look at what happened to him against Buffalo. He tries to make a tackle against Josh Allen, and Josh Allen jukes him. He puts his head down trying to make the hit. Josh Allen goes right by him, and he scores. Like stuff like that. Like you still got to do like basic fundamental football technique stuff. Get your head on his hips. Don't look at his eyes, because he can fake you out with his head. You concentrate on the hips and you go in there and make a tackle. That's what you should do. But they don't really do that no more. Everybody's just trying to push out of bounds and make a big hit, but nobody wraps up anymore. It's fundamental tackling. That is a mindset and an attitude. Dennis, 3 games in 13 days came back and killed us. Yeah, it did, but I can't use that as an excuse. I'm not going to do that as an excuse, man. We've been in that situation before, and so has other teams. You win some, you lose some. To me, this ain't had nothing to do with rest. This had everything to do with not doing the basic stuff. and just another team playing more physical than you. You always going to be tired. They got the same technology. You can get in the oxygen chamber and take cold baths and do the cold shock therapy and get your cold shock proteins. And they got the same technology as everybody else got. You can go to cryo, get your legs back. You can do all of that stuff. So, yes, I'm sure they were fatigued, but I don't care about that. That's why y'all get paid the big bucks. So that, to me, that's not an excuse. It might be the case, but it'll never say that. When they talk about this stretch of games right here, it's not going to say that when you win or lose. It'll just, you won this one, you won this one, you won this one, you squeaked by, and then you got your doors blown off. Then you lost. They're not going to really look into why it happened. Doesn't matter. Ramsey, Bengals playoffs. I don't know. Their backup looked good the other day. So hopefully, but we'll see. 2 weeks straight at home. So yeah, stuff like that happens to everybody in the league. Everybody gets a turn. Everybody gets a turn. Dennis, I feel you, bro. It was disgusting to watch. It was like no effort. No, that wasn't. Was that the Green Bay game? I'm confused. Let me see. Hold on. Scores. I thought. Let me see. Cowboys, Saints, Colts, Washington, San Francisco. Yeah, the Chiefs and the Packers. That was the Packers game. It was the Packers guy that hit him. That wasn't the Cincinnati game. Yeah, confusing me, Ramsey. But what was I saying? Oh, Dennis. Yeah, Dennis. That was hard to watch. After the second quarter, it was pretty rough. It was pretty rough, bro. So, but like I always say, man, sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you. How are we gonna respond? That's the question. How are we going to respond? So is it going to be like a rallying cry? Like what's going to happen? Because guess what? We playing Dallas. Dallas is another team that had extra rest because they played last Thursday. So they had an extra 3 days rest. So you can't cry over it. You still got to get ready. You can't do nothing about it, man. Am I worried about seeing the Niners again? Playoff scenario based on last game? Yes. If we don't get this cleaned up, yes, because the same thing's gonna happen if we don't clean up some stuff. So to me, in my opinion, this is a systematic issue. This is a X's and O's issue. I know we talked about tackling and all that kind of stuff. That can be cleaned up. But this is an X's and O's thing. We are not executing. The defenses we are running are not working. And in the past, Desai had made some decent adjustments. I always reference the Ram game. Because the Rams, they were eating us alive in the first half, came out second half, made the adjustments, and we put it on them. And then you look at Kansas City. Kansas City didn't score in the second half. So he was making good adjustments, but this time he did not. He just didn't. So we got out-coached. Shanahan was ready, but even in that, to me, that's what is so frustrating. When I watched the tape of San Francisco, they did the same thing Sunday as they had been doing the other previous weeks. So what that tells me is San Francisco is not making or doing anything new. What they're doing is what they've been doing, and they are looking at other teams and saying, stop us. And nobody can stop them. That means you are hitting on all cylinders. When you know what I'm going to run and you still can't stop it, that's where you want to be. That's the feeling I used to have when I was in college, when I was still playing college ball. Everybody knew I was getting the ball, and they still couldn't stop me. That is the best feeling in the world as an offensive player. You know I'm going in that hole right there. You know I'm going there, and you still can't, ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Some people have it like that. 49ers got that team right now. We don't. We don't. Last year, everybody was scared to death because they didn't know what Jalen Hurts was going to do. Nobody could stop the RPO. And we were killing folks with it. Now, Jalen's got a knee problem. He hasn't been moving fast. He's been in the pocket. He's been taking coverage sacks. Coverage sacks are because he's not, going through his progressions right. He is missing open receivers. That first play of the game, he had Stoll open. Stoll had beaten his DB and was on a deep corner 3 yards ahead of him. And Jalen just didn't throw him the ball. He had to see him because he was on his left side, so he had to be the second read on his progression. And then if he didn't see that, Devontae Smith was coming back across the middle, and he still missed that one too. So Jalen is not without blame in this situation either, because we've had some opportunities that he just missed. And if you're going to be operating on all cylinders and being in a situation where folks have a hard time beating you, you got to be able to see everything. So, am I scared about him? Not scared. Let me say it like this. It all depends on what we do against Dallas. And I'm saying that win or lose. Yes, we want to win, but I want to see how we play. If it's a knockdown, drag out, fight to the very last second and last possession and stuff like that, even in a loss, you might feel better at that. Because if you play a good game, you play a good game. But sometimes the other team plays a little bit better. But if you playing better, now you can see different things that you can do. You say, if we did this, we should have won that game. There is nothing anybody can say like that on that 49ers game. You can't say, hey, if we'd have caught this ball or caught this pass, that would have changed things a little bit. Nah. They scored on 6 consecutive drives. Defense wins championships, and we didn't have none last week. That is the same. So, us as Niners fans hate y'all because of y'all fans. Ramsey, you gotta understand this, man. And I'll say it like this: you got to see one of my videos. I got a video. Check out my YouTube channel, Pro Fan Talk. There's a video that says I hate Philadelphia fans, and what it is a compilation of fans from other stadiums. I got Niners in there a couple times. Everybody's fans are crazy, dude. Our fans, for whatever reason, we just get the national attention for it. Last year we had the thing with Warner's wife and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, I understand that. But let me be honest with you. When I saw Warner and his wife doing a podcast talking about it, I said, well, no wonder she didn't like it. She just, to me, she got that prissy attitude. And I was like, you ain't going to get away with that in Philadelphia. Like, I'm better than y'all and don't touch me. And nah, we ain't scary in Philly. So it's not, you got crazy fans everywhere, bro. People, hell, they talk about Philadelphia still. And you talk about throwing snowballs and stuff like that, but still don't nobody want to talk about the guy that got killed at Gillette Stadium, or the guy that got killed in Oakland, or the guy that got beat to death in Dallas. They don't talk about that. They only talk about when something go down in Philly. So, but check out that video. It's called I Hate Philadelphia Fans. And Dallas, San Francisco, the Jets, the Giants, the Rams, Miami, every team fights and throwing beer and girls fighting and all of that kind of stuff. It's everywhere. But for whatever reason, Philadelphia just gets the bulk of it. Now, I will say this. There are Philadelphia fans that are straight up assholes. Yes, there are. They get drunk and they act stupid, but that is at every stadium. So that just, the media Every chance they get, they'll take it and run with it. Everybody talks about throwing snowballs at Santa, not realizing that happened in like 1967. So, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? We throw snowballs at fans back when we were at the vet and the 700 level and all of that kind of stuff. And then I could show you film of San Francisco fans throwing beer down in the section below them. And then you got the stuff in Kansas City, and it's everywhere, dude. It's everywhere. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that video. But again, I could show you the San Francisco fans getting belted. But here's the bottom line: if you're gonna show one, show everybody. Show everybody's bad seeds. Again, like I said, there's some assholes in Philly. There's also some assholes in San Francisco and in Oakland and in Green Bay and in have you ever heard Randy Moss's story about Green Bay? Years ago when Randy Moss scored that touchdown against Green Bay and he did the thing like he was mooning the crowd, and then the Monday Night Football guys went all overboard about, oh, that was bad. That's not uncouth and, no class and all this and all of that. But the story that they don't tell is that when the visiting team, when the buses pull up and they got to drive down that neighborhood to get to the stadium, the fans will line up and they moon the bus. That's where that came from. So they only tell one side of the story. But there's nasty, ugly fans in every city. Don't get it twisted. It's not a Philly thing. Philly just always draws the national attention because everybody's itching to say something about Philly. The same thing that happened when we had that situation with Shaq Lawson in Buffalo. The man is in the stands giving Buffalo the business like a fan does. There was no death threats. There were, like he said about the death threats, and immediately I'm calling BS on that. Don't no fan go to a game and immediately start hollering, I'm going to kill your family. And you got cops around and it's pregame. Like, it didn't make any sense. And then when the video came out, he was just doing regular ribbon and they were butthurt for whatever reason. And when Shaq Lawson came over there and punched the fan. So you get 4 situations of players getting thrown out of games because they throwing hands. One with a fan and the 3 others with other players or coaches or something like that. That's happened 4 times in 2 weeks. So, yeah, man, you got to have thick skin. Ramsey, did you ever see the video the dude put out last year after the game where he put out a video. He was a San Francisco 49ers fan. And he was like, if you are this type of person to this type of person, don't go to Philly. If you can take a joke, if you thick skin, if you can get it, if you can dish it out as much as you can take it, then you'll be okay in Philadelphia and they'll like you. He basically laid down a law of what to expect if you are an opposing fan coming to Philadelphia. And basically he was saying, if you are thin-skinned, that's not the game to go to. And he was 100% right. So, yeah, man, we got fans. Yeah, they never let us forget Santa. When I was here in '93, that was when I think that was that the year they put the jail in the vet in '93? I can't remember. But back then, the vet still had the 700 section, so it was always crazy like that, man. But it's all good though. It's all good. Anybody that really knows, the people that want to nitpick about it do, because that's the low hanging fruit. But at the end of the day, you can come to Philly, and there will always be some cool ass fans in Philly. If you get there and get with a tailgater or something like that, you get with the right people, you're gonna have a good time. You get with the wrong people, you're gonna have a bad time. And again, that's everywhere, man. That's everywhere. So, yeah, they never let us forget Santa, bro. Never let us forget that, bro. But it's all good. We keep it moving. we got the man. We got this dude right here, so he's setting the temperature in the room. So, but we in a good spot, man. We've changed a lot of opinions of us, but people still don't like us. And you know, in Philly, we don't give a crap. So that's what we stand on. So it is what it is. So, but yeah, man, we got to get it together. We got to get to. We got to bounce back. Sean Desai gonna earn his money. Christian Ellis was not ready. He was lost out there. And like I said, they exploited us. They definitely exploited us. So, but all right, man. I've been running my mouth for about an hour, so that's a good amount of tape. Got some good feedback. And I think we got up to like 10 people on the stream, so that's good for me. So let me know. Make sure you guys hit that little thumbs up button to like and subscribe if you haven't already. But definitely let me know. Hit me up on Twitter and stuff like that because I want to do more of this. And Ramsey, I'm trying to get with other like Facebook groups and stuff like that so I can get with people because I love talking late. I'm in South New Jersey, Philly. So it's 12 o'clock here, and I think it's only what 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in your world. So I don't mind going late if I can talk with West Coast people. That's my point. I can always talk to East Coast, but I'm trying to breach that audience on the West Coast because as you see, I talk football about all the teams, not just I can talk Philly. I always have time to talk Philly and Eagles and Sixers and all of that kind of stuff. That will always be available. But I'm trying to reach some of you guys on the West Coast because I can talk about the Niners and I can talk about the Chargers and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to breach that gap, man. So I like to talk ball. I ain't gonna talk shit to you. It's not gonna be toxic. I'll talk to Dallas fans too. I got some good friends that are Dallas fans. Matter of fact, I'm supposed to be on the podcast this Friday with one of my buddies. He is a Dallas fan, and like me, he is very even keeled. He doesn't drink all of the Dallas Kool-Aid and go so far off the deep end you don't want to talk to him. That's why every time he calls me to do his show, I'm gonna do his show. Shout out to my boy Paul Spencer Out of the Box Sports. So I'm supposed to hook up with him. I got to tell him what time. But we're going to hook up on Friday and talk about this game coming up because it's going to be a good game. But anytime you want to talk ball, if you know some people that's doing podcasts and you want to jump on camera, we can make that happen too, man. So let's make it happen, man. I'm trying to bridge the gap. You know what I mean? So I thank y'all for joining me, man. Everybody that jumped on the stream. It's not a lot, but it's a lot for me. So I'm growing. Everything is happening, and we moving forward, man. So I appreciate y'all. So I will see you guys on the next play. So I will be trying to do this every Tuesday at like 11 o'clock. So if that's a good time, hit me up on Twitter, Coach_Marcus06. I got to get my graphics together so I can put my like Twitter feed and all that kind of stuff on there. But yeah, hit me up on social. Facebook group, my Facebook group, Pro Fan Talk, my YouTube channel. Put it in the comments or something like that. I try to answer all comments. I'm still under 2,000 subscribers, so I'm still at a point where I can answer all the comments. So, but I appreciate you, Ramsey, man. Thank you for joining in, man. And next time, bring some friends because we can talk. So I'm gonna get out of here, Brian. Thanks for joining in. Povia, thanks for joining in. I appreciate y'all. And until the next one, next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel, 11 p.m. We're going to do it for the West Coast. All right. I'm out. And happy Founders Day to my brothers of A5A. I didn't forget. Peace.